Morning Lions fans, and welcome to the coaches wrap for round 22 versus the Geelong Football Club. Proudly brought to you by Vero, one of our great sponsors of this football club. Again, we're going to do this segment in two parts. I'll talk for a couple of minutes and then I'll hand over to Murray Davis, who'll go through a few of the things that he's got for you as well. Again, a disappointing result for us on the weekend, apart from a second quarter where we obviously kicked 6 goals to Geelong's 2 goals, which was a great quarter for us, but probably let ourselves down in the first quarter, 7 goals to 1, which was almost the end result, 6-7 goals. So I'm just going to talk about some stoppage stuff. Obviously, I'll look after the stoppages and just a bit of a brief rundown on what a stoppage looks like. We've obviously got a centre bounce. We have a stoppage in our defensive 50, which is the opposition forward line. A centre back stoppage, which is from the 50-metre arc through to the middle of the ground there, like the line I've got. A centre forward stoppage and a forward 50 stoppage. So that's how our stoppages are broken up into. Obviously, we've got ball ups and throw-ins. So that just gives you an overview of what a basically stoppage looks like and what we look at. And we have roughly about 80 to 100 stoppages a game. The reason I'm showing you that is that how we prepare the players is we'll go through the opposition and look at some of their weaknesses and their strengths. We'll show them some vision, and then we'll come up with a bit of a plan against them in order to hopefully get the job done. So I've got this graph here, which is basically Geelong's stoppage scores for the whole season. And you'll see down there, there's 5 games there where Geelong have actually been outscored at stoppage. And on the left-hand side, you'll see the sides that they've played. And of those 5 games, they actually lost 3 of them. So we went in with a bit of a plan insofar as our stoppages to try and win clearance against them, but also put them under a little bit of pressure from the scoreboard. 21 games to date, as I said, 16 games they've outscored their opposition and won those games. 5 games, as I said, they've been outscored. So I'll have a look at all their stoppages, show the players, and then we come up with a bit of a formula to try and beat them. So in this example here, this is a forward 50 stoppage for us. So hopefully you can make a little bit of sense about it. But you'll see behind the footy, you've got Geelong forwards. Our defenders obviously play on them. Then around the stoppage, we've got our midfielders and our forwards. So what we tried to do on the weekend was crowd it up as much as we can and try to release the football out, because one thing about Geelong, we knew that they could get scored heavily against from this part of the ground. We show this to the players. We show a lot of edits to them. We talk through it with them. And as you can see on the weekend, we scored 3 goals from our forward 50 stoppages. So stoppage here, you can see we win the footy. We out-hunt the opposition. Get the ball out to Daly, who gets the shots on goal. So in the top hand corner there, we kicked 6 goals 5 from our stoppages, and Geelong kicked 5 goals 7 so we were able to outscore them by 4 points, which at the end of the day was a good result, but a little bit disappointing insofar as they kicked a couple of late goals from stoppage. This one's obviously Reith Matheson around the stoppage. We know he's very good at drawing free kicks, so we try and get him around that situation. He gets a free kick against Selwood. He kicks the goal and obviously gives a bit of cheek to Joel, which was quite good to see. So he's got a bit of spunk about him, and he goes back and kicks the goal. So you don't actually need to see that, but that's exactly what happened. The other part of it, from a structural point of view, is our centre forward stoppages. So again, here you can see behind the footy, our defenders are 1-on-1. In front of the footy, we've got our 6 forwards. We knew Geelong had man them up, and around the contest, we had a bit of a plan to make sure we out-hunted the opposition and win clearance, and we were able to do that. We won clearances by +2, but again, we just wanted to move the ball quickly. That was our aim. Get it into the forward half of the ground and hopefully put their defenders under a bit of pressure. So again, they set it here. Ball goes up. You can see Rocky wins the contest and just kicks it quick forward. Daly plays in front of his opponent, takes a mark and goes back and kicks a goal. So from a stoppage perspective, whilst they kicked a couple of late goals, which I was a bit disappointed about, we were able to get the job done in terms of outscoring them and winning clearance. So that part of the game was quite good on the day. And just finally, scores from stoppage for the year. You can see we're sitting in 9th spot. We averaged 9.6 percentage goals from our stoppage wins. So hopefully this week we can outscore the opposition in St Kilda and get into that top 8 bracket. But you can see in that top 8 bracket, the highlighted sides, they're actually sides that are playing finals. So 7 of the 8 sides. The only one who's not is Hawthorn, who are a really good turnover side. So from a stoppage perspective, we've had some good games. We've had some very ordinary games, but we're thereabouts in terms of the top 8. So that's a bit of a positive out of the year, I suppose. So I just thought I'd give you a brief rundown on what we look at from a stoppage perspective and how we go about it. And just to answer one question, which was from David. What does planning for 2017 start, or when does it start, sorry, and what will focus be? So as a coaching group, basically every week we review the game and see what we need to improve on. Obviously with a young group, there's a lot of areas we need to improve on. But after the last game against St Kilda, we'll get together as a coaching group. We'll go through basically a review of the season from all our areas. So I'll look at our stoppage stuff, Muzz will look at defensive stuff, Leper the offensive, and the line coaches will get their areas and they'll present. And from that, we'll get a bit of a plan as to what we really need to work on. Obviously, our skill area is a big facet of the game. We turn the footy over quite a bit, so our ability to use our hands and feet properly to retain possession is probably a big one. So right at this point in time, our skill level needs to improve. Our contested footy always needs to improve. But as I said, basically next week we'll sit down and work through some other areas that we'll need to improve on from next year, and that'll basically be the fundamental part of our pre-season training when we come back in November. So hopefully that's answered your question, mate, and we obviously need to do a lot of work in pre-season. So hopefully that gives you a bit of an outlook to our stoppages, but also what we're going to do from a planning perspective. From here, I'll hand you over to Muzz, who's got some other information to go through.
Thanks, Danny. Just thought I'd cover off a couple of things. First being Josh Clayton on debut. So terrific to see Josh get an opportunity. Just shown this one here, which is the mark he's taken, highlighted him there in the pocket, where he was able to take a good contested mark on Ruggles from Geelong, and then going back to have his first shot on goal in AFL. So it was a bit of a tough shot, and I'm sure his heart would have been racing, especially when you see the scoreline. We were really mounting a comeback at Geelong at this point. So a few of the boys settled him, and I think if he had his time again, he'd go back and do a few things differently, which is what AFL is all about, is learning from your experiences, and he sort of cannons it into the post and kicks it behind. But we're really happy with Josh. Sometimes it's things like that you see, taking marks and kicking or having shots on goals, but it's also the work he did off the ball, and I think that's what stood out for us as a coaches group. We see Tom Bell kick this ball inside 50, and I've just highlighted Josh in the middle there, and you can see him then just laying a block on Guthrie from Geelong for Josh Walker to then be able to go in and kick an easy goal. So no stat, but really important role for Josh to play, similar to this one here, where we actually win the ball back and he gets involved in it as well. So it starts on the back of our good defence, and then we're able to generate our offence from here. So Josh is involved with a couple of running bounces, and then handballs it off to Richie, and knows his job's not done. He then lays a subtle block on for him just to buy Richie some time, and he knocks the goal over. So that was some of the really good things that we liked about Josh on debut, and great to see Richie get back and acknowledge his effort right there in that goal. The other thing I thought I would just touch on, Josh has been doing a lot of work on our tackling, and just the importance here of not getting into the back of his opponent and being able to trap the ball underneath. So something he's been working a lot on, and was awarded the free kick. So that was really good. On a team perspective, I just thought I'd cover off a little bit of the room for improvement stuff. Throughout the game, we really tried to take Geelong on, and we wanted our players to be bold in our ball movement and our overlap and run, and didn't always come off, and this is an example of where it didn't, and then we weren't able to defend these turnovers, if you like. So we'll continue to keep encouraging the players to do it. Even this example here in the first quarter, where we start to really move the ball. It's not done with any great pace, but you can see that players are running. We're linking up. We're taking Geelong on and making them defend us, and this is where we feel as a coaching group we're playing our best footy. Pierce Hanley gets involved twice, Ryan Bastanak takes a mark, and it doesn't quite come off. We end up, I think Ryan kicks this one out of bounds, but hopefully that gives the fans a bit of an insight into what we're trying to do with our ball movement, and we want to keep encouraging them to do it. And this one comes from a stoppage where the boys do really well to clear the ball, and then highlighted Tom Cutler, who's a goal kicker, as a defender. But great contest. We turn up in numbers and we just get involved, and that's what we want from our boys, is to keep running. Great contest there by Mitch Robinson, and as I said, Tom Cutler, who I highlighted at the start, ends up knocking this goal over. So this was all during the second quarter, which is where we started to get a bit of a run on. And even in this one here with Ben Keys, you can see where our numbers are. So it's just our ability to be able to execute the skill. Danny touched on it. That'll be a big focus in our pre-season because unfortunately on this one we cough it up and we give it back to the opposition and they end up scoring from this turnover. So they're some of the things that we did well during the second quarter, and hopefully that answers one of Sharon's questions about will that be the focus on that effort again, and that's absolutely right. We want to be able to do that for longer. And the last question was just around who replaces Daniel Merritt in our backline. We've got a very young backline, as you can see here. We think Harris Andrews will continue to hold down a key position spot. Sam Skinner, who unfortunately will miss the majority of the year with the knee reconstruction, but we think he can come into it, and we've seen some positive signs with Hugh Beasley, Jackson Payne and Matty Hamilman that's had to come in as well. And the way the AFL works, you've always got the opportunity to try and trade in or draft another key position defender as well. So they're all the sorts of things that we'll look at over the pre-season.